Hey guys, Cracky 2000 here, and just giving you an update. You can see that I got the rear pillow block mounts all set up, and they're totally adjustable. So when it's all said and done, this will be pulled back a little bit with the adjustment here, and I'll make this chain tight high enough away from this that I shouldn't have to cut into it. And got this side all set up, should be good to go, but ran into a major design flaw with the extended rear end. When the suspension comes down, whoa, it shouldn't be that far. I disconnected the shock just to make it easier to make these adjustments, but the chain becomes super loose. So I think it's just because I've extended everything back further than it was really meant to be, and so there's too much travel. It doesn't pivot the way that I thought it would. So now what I'm going to do is in this area over here, I mounted a couple really thick steel plates, and I'm going to run some metal this way up on both sides and put some of these type of pillow blocks in on each side as far as up as I can go, like way up here, so that the travel between where the chain is fixed mounted to where it needs to move up and down a little bit won't be that great. Just going way back here, the travel's way higher, and hopefully that'll take care of that problem. And then I also want to mount this shock in here somewhere. Not sure if it's too strong of a shock, just to pick up some of the tension on this point, and right here too. I imagine that, you know, with all the weight of the bike, it's a beast already, and everything else I'm adding onto it, this might be a structurally weak part as well as up here, because it's just where it all pivots on. So I'm hoping to do that. This isn't very strong. It's not bolted on right now. When it's bolted on, it's nice, and I might extend that with some pipe as well. So today I'm going to work on getting this cut out, get another jack shaft put in right here, and hook up another chain to it. So that's what I'll be working on today. All right, got my pillow bearing holders, mounts, whatever, made. I had to cut out some areas over here because the frame was too close. I thought it's not gonna matter too much, hopefully. So I'm gonna mount these over here somewhere. And what I realized is I'll only be able to have one gear on this side, so I might need to move the mounts back a little bit so I could put a gear on this side, which there's less room because the way the shock is offset. But maybe not. We'll see. cut down a piece of my jack shaft. Gonna have to order some more of this. That should slide right in there. I guess, crap, it expanded a little bit when I was cutting it or something. So I'm gonna go sand this down a little bit. Should give it enough leeway to fit easily inside of here, I hope. So I'll do that. I'll be back. Okay, been dealing with this all day. Having a hard time getting the tension right on this chain going to the sprocket. My my mounts weren't made correctly. I probably should have added, left more steel on there so I could have cut off, made adjustments. So now I'm forced to raise them up to make them work right, and I'm just running into tons of problems with getting this shaft perpendicular to the other shaft up there, and making all the different adjustments. So this show is brought to you by Miller Lite, and this should make your job go smoother. So that's what I'll be working on, and I will spare you from watching me struggle with this for the next few more hours. All right, I think we got the gearing good to go. Very tough road, but it looks good at this point. Just need to tighten everything down, but it's not binding up anymore, even with the aftermarket parts. And I just need to make some more gear so I could hook everything up to the rear end. So we should be good. It does get super loose still when I compress the rear shocks, but I think it'll be fine for this application. So Cracky 2000 out. All right, I got the rear shock mounted. So it's all welded in there nicely, all set up. Not sure, it kind of bends over to the left a little bit, so I don't think it's totally straight or something, but hopefully it's good enough. And now I'm working on the spacers for the chain. That's going to be running from this sprocket to this one. So I need to make sure it's tight enough, so I had to add spacers. And so I cut out some new ones, and I probably can't get to them. So I made some thicker spacers to take the place of these small little tiny ones. I'll probably just end up putting maybe two and a couple small ones over here, and just one big one over here, because with this amount of washers that I have on there right now, it makes the chain just tight enough. I mean, I think it's plenty tight, but I wouldn't mind it being a little bit tighter since there should be no leeway there anyhow. This is the only chain that's really affected by the suspension, and when the suspension is compressed, this gets looser, so this shock will keep that from getting too loose, so we'll be good. And what else did I do? I just took off the front wheel, primed the front forks since they're starting to rust, and I'm just gonna paint those and make adjustments last. I still got to get my spacers made for the shaft because I'm still using washers right there on those for them. And that's about it. Should be hopefully powering the rear wheel and driving it around next time I take it out, which will probably be in a month or something, but who knows. Maybe if I get some time this weekend, I'll put some more time into it. That's it for now. Cracky out.
Alright guys, Cracky 2000 here, and I got the rear drive line chains going all the way to the back. I just need to tighten up the rear wheel. I have it going from, show you, the drive sprocket over here, goes up that jack shaft to the other side, which is right there, and this will eventually power the front wheel, if we get there, and then that takes it back to the rear. So now I'm just going to tighten up the rear tire, and it should be able to be powered by that tire now. Now to do some shocks and some exhaust next. That looks perfect. Cut the up. Beautiful.
All right, what I'm going to be doing is eventually running the chain up to the front somehow. So I need to kind of try to keep that in mind when I'm building the exhaust. So I want to have the exhaust go down the front here, somewhere around here. Then I'll just put a big protective plate over that. I ended up buying some tubing that I believe has the same diameter, but you can buy these. It's pretty cool. It wasn't too bad. It had just a bunch of bends in it, so you don't have to do a bunch of bends yourself. So I'm going to put this on here. I cut the end off my old exhaust, and I'm just going to put the new one on there somehow. Alright, Cracky 2000 here. I got my exhaust done here. You can see a little bit of it. With those pieces of pipe and then some extra pieces from the existing exhaust, I was able to fashion this together. I think it's pretty good, not bad. I'm gonna put a hanger over here to tighten it up, and then I need to build some hangers off the back. But the exhaust looks pretty good. I'll eventually be able to move my foot pegs out. Gonna wrap all the exhaust in some heat tape or whatever you call it, fabric tape, and try to keep it a little cooler by my feet. But I think it's gonna be good at this point. So just gonna put this, make a little clip to mount the exhaust onto here so I could take it off and put it back on. If I can find where I put it. Well, let me clean this up first. Get ready to weld. Went a little crazy with my bird shit welds, but I couldn't get it to go on any smoother. There's no adjustment for the amperage on my welder, and it was burning through a lot of different spots. So I decided, you know, I'll just make gigantic bird shit welds to seal the pipe. Make it nice and strong, not really worry about it. Don't care what it looks like, especially behind a bunch of tape. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere, so hopefully it'll be all good.
That's my little mount. Put some welds on that, we'll be good to go. That's definitely not going anywhere. The exhaust is going to go up over here somewhere.
I'm lined up this one bolt right here. So just bolt it on right there. This top one, if I end up extending the rear a little bit to make a rack or something, I'll eventually bolt that to the rack as well. But that's pretty dang sturdy, especially with that bracket, that new bracket right there. It's not going anywhere. That's good. All right, so now what am I on to? I'm going to tighten up the rear tire probably try to get it running again. Make some brakes, actually. I need to make some rear brakes, so I'll be working on that next. Actually, before I get my first ride, this is all still the same. I need to flip this tire around so that it's going the proper rotation, because right now it's backwards, but that'll work for now. I made a little stop for the front steering because these forks were wider and it needed different stops. So hopefully it'll have enough of a turn radius. Not really sure. Might need to grind it down. I got a couple more inches of clearance I could use probably. I cleared out this whole area along the side of the engine so the chain will run this way. I'll get rid of this, move it up so I could run the chain to the front. I wish I would have put the exhaust pipe in a little bit of a different area. It's kind of exactly right where I wanted to put my sprocket, so I might have to change that in the future. But ran the pipe down this way, up the side, put some wrap on it, which still smokes like crazy when I run it, but it'll eventually subside. I built a little battery box right in here because the original battery box was hitting the chain. Got my chains all set up, ready to go. I greased all my all the pillow bearings, and I mounted my rear fender. It's pretty strong. A little piece, I gotta take this thing out so it doesn't make noise, but that's an old engine cover I found at a junkyard, and hopefully this will work. We will see. I still got to replace this front radiator, but it doesn't drip too badly from when I nailed it. Brand new radiator I hit with the pipe when I was building the forks. So that was great. So I'll get a new one of those. The fan didn't turn on, but I don't think it got hot enough to turn on, but that was severely damaged in the wreck, so I'm not sure if it even works at all. But there's my old battery box. I just mounted some components in there and just will use it to mount any other electronics that I need. Probably put a box in or something eventually. And this was a seat that I found off of a neighborhood app. It was, well, she wanted $5 for it, and then she put free, but I still gave her $5. But it must have been off of a Kawasaki ATV. It's way thicker, taller. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get on the bike at this point, but it bolted right on. I mean, all the holes lined up, it like fit perfect. But it's definitely taller, but way more padding, so that's kind of cool. So the front, I already showed this stuff. Oh, I got a new handlebar. I haven't put it on yet, so I'll put that on because I didn't realize even these handlebars that I pulled off of a busted up three-wheeler, these were bent too. I thought they were straight. They were straighter than the ones that were on the KLR, that's for sure. So all right, so now for the ride. Wish me luck. All right, here we go. My floor jack broke, but works enough to move out of the way. I've never had this thing in gear, ever. Oh, the brakes work a little bit. Holy cow. Horrible turn radius. These reverse. Look at this beast. I don't even know if I could get on this thing. My wife can't wait to hop on the back. Right, Dave? Oh my God, this thing weighs a ton. All right, let me see if this thing will even stay up. Holy crap. Gotta make a minor brake adjustment. Yeah. Jesus. I can't even get on this thing. Well, it used to come down when I hopped on it. Holy cow. Let's see if I can get. Oh my God, come on. Jesus. It's a little too high for me, I think. You know, I have to ease this. Yeah, turn radius is really bad. I'm gonna have to try to fix that. Okay. Now that I have my little step there, let's see if we can get started. Whew. Oh no. What happened?
You should move away from the sign, like that's totally jacking it, like the view. You should push it back some if you can. Back.
Well, it was. Now it's not starting. After all that. What the hell? That started. I don't know what that problem is.
Please don't do it then.
What?
Don't do it then. Ryan, I'm here. Oh my God. This is crazy.
Oh, I can see the chain slipping already. Alright, you can stop this one. Cracker 2000 here. Looks like I'm having a problem with this chain that goes back to here. I noticed when I was just rotating everything by hand that sometimes it would bind up, and I'm not really sure why it's binding up. None of the other chains seem to be doing that. So I thought it would eventually just kind of run itself out and be fine. I thought it was maybe a kink chain or something weird, but it does not seem to be fixing itself out. So when it goes to, when it turns it, it's just really violent. So we'll see. I gotta fix that next, and hopefully that will resolve that issue. Rubbing on that. Rub a little bit. Shave that down. That chain is too loose. This one seems fine. That's just when it gets too loose. That's when it starts to bind up. Maybe it's try to get down a little tighter too. I can kind of see some weird's going on there. Tracking 2000 out.